Going live. And once again, it's the Transform Your Relationship show. And I'm Laura Rubenstein here with the fabulous Dr. Rhoberta Shaler. Hi, Rhoberta.
Good morning, Laura, the fabulous Laura Rubenstein.
And we have a really hot, touchy subject today as we like to dive in deep and talk about what really happens out there in the world and how to handle it when it comes to things like what we're going to talk about today. Trolls and other troubling online situations. So let's start off by declaring and defining what is a troll online.
Well, you know that trolls are those little mythical creatures that live under the bridge waiting to get you. So that's what people are online too. They're people who they really are suffering and they really aren't ready to heal. So what they're really doing is looking to find fault and lash out and vent at you. And they want to make everybody wrong so they can be right. And they're having hijackal moments. That's what they're doing. And so when you put something in a post or in a group or wherever you post and somebody comes after you, like, how dare you say that? And don't generalize and make that about me too. Notice their energy is not the same often as the energy with which you posted that. So there's a beginnings for what it is. What do you think trolls are, Laura?
Well, trolls are people who, yeah, they're obviously not happy, and they need to lash out because that's their only modality, and they will not give up. They are right, and they are out with a vengeance. And they want attention. They want to be heard. They want to hurt others. Make no mistake about it. If they deny it, it's false. They're they don't have a way to heal, and so so they're out to make trouble in a way and get whatever need met they are trying to get met, being heard, of venting, of getting rid of whatever inner turmoil they have. They're just looking for a release of some sort, and sometimes just those fingers can just go at it, you know. But the intention is never that healing intention, and so there's a lot of ways to deal with them, some better than others, and it also depends on the situation.
Mhm.
So
I think an open mind and an open heart are something that they're not prepared at the moment to come with. No, something has gone on in their lives that has caused them to close down. Maybe they've only got one belief system and they can't possibly open their mind or their heart to another. Maybe they believe one thing is right and everything else is wrong. And in doing that, they have to defend whatever it is that they have decided is right for them. However, they miss the latitude and the richness of conversation and the possibility that other people have a different point of view that might even inform and expand their own. And so they get kind of rabid. They're just like a dog with a bone. They're on it and nothing is getting them off, nothing. And when people try to say, hey, come on, back off a little, it's okay. Everybody has different points of view. No, come with more vengeance. And it's very unsettling for people who don't deal with people like that. But it's equally unsettling for people who have been with people like that and are trying to come into the world afresh and want to feel safe. And they don't feel safe when there are people lurking, ready to leap on them.
yep, and it's definitely not a safe place when somebody's attack on the offense with you. I think that not everybody who has a complaint is a troll, though. We have to
Oh, of
distinguish
course
that.
not. No, troll is about attitude, not about idea. I absolutely agree with you. We all have complaints. We'd like to see things differently. We'd like to have things be different. We'd like to help somebody else see our point of view. Maybe even some of us want to change somebody else's mind. It's how you do it. It's the delivery system. It's the words you choose, the energy behind them, and how many expletives you use often is an indicator too.
Yeah, the anger and the vengeance and what is their underlying motivation? What do they really want, right? And if it's something you're not willing to give, they don't just want to, they want to be right, but they want to like dig it in. It's like they've got to accomplish something that's not always pleasant. Um, and so in that case, when we talk about online, so there's a difference between responding to a complaint and dealing with a troll. So complaints are much easier because as a former customer service manager, uh, I can tell you it was fun. It was actually fun to turn complaints into satisfied customers. And by ask for the opportunity to turn this around or just ask simply, what do you want? How
Mhm.
can I make this right for you? That's,
Or tell me more.
yeah.
I mean, sometimes people just need to talk and be heard, actually listened to. Eye contact, listening. Now you don't have that online, but you can say, well, that's not my point of view, and I'm not sure I understand yours, so tell me more.
Mhm.
And yeah, you can say that's giving them permission to vent more, but on the other hand, it's giving them an opportunity to say, well, I've said everything that I have to say, and if you're going to take them on, which I don't advise, but if
Mhm.
you're going to, um, then at least give them a moment to get rid of the venom.
Yes, in fact, I have a mentor of mine who was talking about, handling, uh, what do we call it? Was recovering from a service error, basically. So if there was a mistake or they did have a poor experience with your business, you want to listen to them vent at least 3 times. Say their gripe 3 times because as humans we need to say it. Better they say it to you than 3 times, 10 times, 20 times online, getting all this garnering around it. You want to listen to them. You might learn something and then you ask them, what can I do to make this right for you? And then it's a negotiation from there, right?
Yeah, I think that's true in the customer service world, but
Mhm.
in the online world, where people are free to join any group or post anything or, say something on a page, um, they can just pop up like groundhogs, just
Well,
or meerkats, like, oh, have a look around and say, oh, I don't like that, so I'm going to stomp all over it, play whack-a-mole with your ideas. And that's where it gets disconcerting because you put something out there and you're maybe looking for discussion, feedback, ideas, and you get the whack-a-mole thing like bam. And then like, what? No, that wasn't what I was hoping for. And now I've got to contend with maybe this is too dire a term, but with being broadsided and wounded by somebody saying something incredibly out of proportion to what I thought I was going to receive. And then that triggers you or the other person, and off they go. And then I watched somebody the other day. It wasn't me, thank heaven, although I've had that experience. I'll talk about it. Um, and they wouldn't let the person off the hook. That troll just kept nailing them down and nailing them down. They were going to track them to their cave and eat them alive, if they possibly could. And I finally intervened. And I didn't intervene. I said something. Who knows if anybody listened? And I just said, perhaps we could get back to the topic. I think emotion has flared where we really do have a decent conversation to have. And it sort of faded away at that moment. But wow, it was the real meaning of the word vociferous. Like they were on the scent and they were going after that person. And nothing the person said had any weight, any bearing on what they responded with. They were just single minded, going for it. And at that moment, it's a really good moment to just turn to the side. You know what I tell people when people really have to vent at you when you see them in public, imagine yourself just turning to the side and watching all that go by. Right? Like then just come back again, and if they start again, just turn to the side and let it go by, because it's not yours, it's theirs. So don't let it hit you, because if you
really
let it
hard.
hit you, you will respond in some way, whether it's verbally or you'll have a feeling, and it's not your stuff.
Good point. Really good point. And when I was saying give the person a chance to vent 3 times, obviously, if the initial complaint came online, take it offline as fast as possible. Offer the opportunity to hear them out offline and make it right. Um,
Which you
you-
don't want to do, be giving out your phone number to random people on Facebook. But, I certainly understand it in any industry, in any enterprise. I mean, how about not struggling, a new entrepreneur beginning to get business and all? They get one dissatisfied person. You got to handle it immediately and in the best possible way. Otherwise, they will tell a friend and they will tell 2 friends and they will tell 4 friends and away you go, right?
well, that's what people's complaint with Yelp is. I have a lot of clients who say, should I be on Yelp? And for the most part, your review should be positive, right? Because if you're doing a good job and people love you, then you're going to see some positive results. Now, if you you have to overwhelm those negative comments on Yelp with positive, and I don't think that's you know, the only reason not to be. If you are prone to getting a lot of negative comments, then yes, don't be on Yelp.
Well, let me put something in there. I took my listing off Yelp, and here's why. I help the partners, the exes, and the coworkers and adult children of relentlessly difficult people, people with difficulties, to people with personality difficulties. Can you imagine what a wonderful opportunity that is for somebody to go on
Fabulous.
Yelp?
Yeah.
Right there, I'm working with their partner and they go on Yelp, and that happened. And so there was no truth at all to what the person said, but they were a venom spreader. So they saw the opportunity to go after me. They didn't know me. They'd never spoken to me, nothing. But Yelp doesn't know that. So that's my reason for not appearing
Yeah.
there, right? So we have to be very careful when we use places like that, because yes, you want to have the positive reviews that will draw business to you. But if you're in a sensitive business that deals with people who may have problems, that's not probably the best place for you.
Right. But if you're in a more generic type business that doesn't have that demographic right front and center, it's a much easier way to handle it. You can, publicly reply and say, I'd like to make this right with you. I will give you a call, you know.
You can
Um,
demonstrate your values right there and then.
yes, yes. So it's a huge opportunity to turn things around. Now, if they're a troll and they're just going at you, you have to not take the bait. That's called troll bait. Right? You were saying just let it go by. Just, a lot of times online, other people come in to your rescue too, in a way. They'll defend you. You don't have to defend yourself. So a lot of times if it's troll bait, meaning it's that venom, they're not really seeking resolution, they're seeking damage, then you definitely want to not respond. And
Absolutely. And you can find that out. It happened to me recently. The population I work with. I think everybody who watches us knows that. And so I was posting in a group I belong to, a group of people who have been abused. And I posted for Mother's Day. I said, well, even if our mother was really not a nice person, maybe we could have gratitude today for the fact that she gave us the opportunity to have a life, to have children, to have that love, whatever. Oh my goodness, so unexpectedly. And, on further reflection, it wasn't so unexpected, but I got pounced on. Absolutely pounced on. How dare you suggest that I should be glad that my abusive mother gave me life? And they went after me, Laura. Like it was rabid dog territory, right? And so in the beginning, I thought, oh, they don't quite understand. I'll write a little more. I'll elaborate on what I meant. I'll educate and inform as to my point of view. And that stirred the pot.
mm,
And then they went to my Facebook page, and then they started writing there. And then they went to my website, and then they started posting things from my website. Now, fortunately, I started the thread by putting up the graphic. So at that moment, I chose to delete it. I thought, all right, that's fine. I don't need any more of this. But the next morning, because I was still in the group, I noticed a thread that started again. Who was that woman who said that? Right? And they're throwing my name around and they're doing all of that. Now, it's great advertising. In if you happen to be a celebrity and you say all advertising is good or all publicity is good. In this situation, it wasn't. It was nasty, 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 without any knowledge of who I am or what I was doing. But what it was an example of deflection and denial. Like they weren't ready to heal at all. And of course, a large group, and it was only 15 or 20 people contributing to this conversation, but they weren't in any way ready to have a moment of healing to say, okay, I have a life. Somebody gave it to me. I get to choose what I use it for. Do I really want to keep using it for venting and ranting and everything? Because yes, that's a place you start, but are you willing to grow from there? Do you want to stay in that rabid dog place? Well, apparently these people did. And then one went too far. She went on my page, not my profile, my business page. And I had to take her comments down. Now, to me, that hurt my heart, not because of what they said about me, but because, and of course, that wasn't pleasant. I'm not immune to that. But what really bothered me was to see how unhealed they were, just looking for anything to hit. I mean, they were willing to play whack-a-mole with anybody who showed up. So the next day, somebody put up something about forgiveness. And for some reason, that was okay. Now, did we have a little growth? Or were those 15 women sleeping? I don't know. But it was just interesting to watch. And that would have devastated me, 20 years ago. Like, oh my goodness, how could I possibly think that was a good idea to put that up and everything? There was nothing wrong with what I put up. It was just that they weren't ready to entertain the idea of it. So therefore, I became the face of where you have to put all your venting about your anger. And they did it. Now, with any news cycle, it lasts about 24 hours and they're on to the next. So that was okay. But there's an example of how trolls will do something. Did they go to my YouTube channels? Did they read my books? Did they find out all the people who say, thank you, thank you, thank you for all that you do? Oh, no. Wham. Right? So I had to do the balancing act of saying, yes, but I have hundreds of people who say thank you on a regular basis. So these people who don't know me, they're going after me. And so we have to have that balance.
And it's a case of the victims becoming victimizers in a way.
Well, I mentioned that actually. Funny you should bring that up. I said, I thought one of the rules of this group was safety, and I'm certainly not feeling very safe here right now. And then they jumped on me for playing the victim. And I thought, all right, there is no rhyme or reason here anymore. They have completely lost the ability to use their prefrontal cortexes. I'm going to go and take this down and make tea, which is what I did.
And do you foresee being a part of this group for much longer?
Oh, yes, because I'm very interested in how they're responding and what they're doing, what they're talking about, because it allows me to see what people need to do to heal, what they're talking about, what they're angry about. In fact, that became a topic of conversation on there. Well, I hope she got face booted. And then somebody wrote, no, she didn't. She's still here. She must have taken it down herself. And then somebody else wrote, well, maybe she could help us.
Oh, miracles of miracles.
Yeah, I mean, there were 2 or 3 people who chimed in just once and said, hey, I don't think that's what was meant here. And yes, I am grateful that I have my family and my children, and I have the opportunity to do it differently. They got it. But there was just this little band of people who just decided, oh no, that's pounceable. And away they went. And
Well, they felt threatened by it for some reason. They felt like it was not making it safe for them for some reason, that we could
yeah.
obviously, if we embrace our past history and our family and we are grateful for them, somehow we're going to be not safe by doing that. So they
Well,
felt
they,
somehow threatened.
yes, and they weren't at a place of viewing themselves as open to healing. I'm still angry. I'm still in that angry, angry, angry phase.
Yeah.
And that's just part of the journey. And I recognize that. But on that particular day, on a very sensitive day for Mother's Day, um, sorry, new phone. Um,
Yeah, Mother's
they,
Day is a very sensitive day, especially if you don't have a mother that you're uh,
right.
embracing all warm and fuzzy, right?
Yeah, and she was the hijackal. So of course you're not feeling like, don't tell me that I should be grateful for an abusive mother. I get it. I get it completely. But that's the kind of thing we have to be sensitive to. It's not the other person is only out to attack you. It's out that you have to think about it's not about you. It's about them.
It's hard to do, especially if you're wounded in some way or you're sensitive in another way. Um, not taking it personally, you may have to do some work. You may have to go get some tea and take some breaths and
Yeah.
take care extra, in your intensive self-care mode,
Yeah.
as I
And
like to
and
say.
separate things out like I was saying earlier. Like, all right, that's their stuff. This is my response. That's their stuff. This is my stuff. Okay, let's keep getting the distance larger in there. Okay. All right. Now we can just let that one go
Hmm.
because that's what we have to do when we get into negative energies. Leave it where it sits. Don't invite it in. But sometimes we get into an entanglement with it before we realize because we took a couple of extra steps thinking that the relationship would improve, and it doesn't. And it takes a moment or two to know that it's time to step back.
Just makes me think, what would the world be like if nobody took anything personally?
Yeah, well, I have back in the day when I used to like rubber stamps for everything, there was a wonderful one that I liked. It's from, it's even in a song like "Life is just a bowl of cherries," but life's too mysterious. Don't take it serious.
Mm.
Even something remembering something like that at a moment like that. Like, am I really going to get my knickers in a twist because somebody else is having a bad day?
Right. And they're not responding to you. They're
Yeah.
responding to something in their past. They didn't get your intention. They took it personally, and they had a really bad, reaction to it that they had to lash out. And like you said, they're not in a healed place. They're not ready for healing. They still need to feel that wound big, and you put salt in it somehow. And thus you're to blame and to be ostracized for it. But yeah, certainly not a great space for safety for you. Would you consider posting again, or are you just going to
Oh yeah.
watch?
No,
Okay.
no, I'll post again. I'm just giving them time to calm down. It's a large group, and I've helped in many ways in that group. They just never noticed, right? I mean, you have a large group, you different things attract different people. People are online at different times. No, no, not at all. I want to offer expertise and help. And I've walked that. I had a horrible hijackal mother and I had a very difficult family. I know how all that feels. I know how it feels. I never did get rabidly angry about it because right from the beginning I went, I think you two are just nuts. So it didn't mean that it didn't affect me deeply and I didn't have to do a whole lot of work to pry all the little tentacles off my soul that were placed there before I had brain function to know what had happened to me. But I didn't come at it with anger. I came at it with interest. Like, okay, I don't choose to carry this with me anymore. So what do I have to do differently? What do I have to release? And what do I have to investigate and all of that? But I understand completely when you're in that anger phase.
Hmm.
Because many times my clients come to me when they're in that anger phase. Like they just hold me back, I just really want to knock someone senseless right now. Somebody has to be at fault for this. And of course you can't go around knocking people senseless, and so people think that there is some kind of anonymity that you can knock people senseless with your words on Facebook or any other social media, and let's all refrain from doing that. Those are real people on the other end.
Please, yes. I mean, another what if everybody used social media for good, for spreading positive energy? And then what if we didn't take anything personally and instead we did exactly what you just recommended, is be curious. Oh, that didn't feel good. I wonder what that's about. And let me ask a question. Let me explore, instead of being triggered into our anger. And that takes practice and readiness and, getting out of fear and into, more of a space of like, okay, what do I really want? The healing and the love, if you really want it, it's a scary job to go get it. So we understand that. And we know that there are scary things that happen out there, like trolls, people who will give you the bait to jump to it. And it looks like you didn't take the bait. They weren't classic trolls. They didn't go like overboard, but they did certainly come at you based upon something they interpreted, and it was their interpretation, and they took it differently than you meant it. And I love how you also recommend not taking it personally, letting it go by. Like, oh boy, that's quite the reaction to what I was talking
Yeah.
about.
And of course, it informed me like
Right.
I'm going to be more careful about putting something out that I thought was helpful. I really thought, all right, here's an idea that I really know you need to embrace in order to get rid of all the pain. So I'm going to put that out there, and maybe on Mother's Day, you'll be able to see it. I was just
It's too
wrong.
big of a leap.
It was too big. You're absolutely right. And so instead of contributing to their growth, I gave them a reason to get angry. Now, maybe on the positive side, they got angry at me and they got over it. I don't know. But it is always learning. And I would recommend making the cup of tea before you respond, because otherwise you'll react. So
Yep.
if something triggers you online, go and make the tea, then come back and see how you feel.
And if you need to, write about it on a notepad, nowhere that can be sent or accidentally placed on social media or sent to somebody in an email. Write and or even write physically.
Yeah, and I thought about it afterwards, Laura, and I thought, I'm also going to be informed by this. Some people I noticed after watching this, I got intrigued by it, so I started watching it in different threads and things. And some people do a hit and run. They put up something really nasty in response to somebody, and then when somebody doesn't like it, they take it down. But they got it said, right? And they didn't stand by it. And I thought, hmm, you know, maybe I've done that once or twice where it wasn't popular and I just took it down and didn't want to cause any more pain. But then I noticed some people like, and they'd come back in again and they do a swipe and then they delete it. And I thought, that's a really poking the bear strategy, right? So when we're talking about trolls in general, we're talking about people who are dissatisfied, looking for somewhere to misplace their anger. The people in the group that I was in were very, very specific. They were very unhappy with the idea that I put forward, and they let me know. That's their right. How they did it demonstrated to me how unhealed they were and how unwilling they were to hear something that was a message of healing. Information to me. I can't change them. I can't speed up their process.
Right.
So, a little bit different than trolls, because I wouldn't say these people were trolls. I would say that these people were hurt people who were still in the mode of wanting to hurt people, to get rid of their own pain. They were not willing to do their own work yet. But trolls in general, you go on to something and, the whole debate goes on, and how dare you say that, and you're a this, and
The
all of the
name
name
calling.
calling,
Yep.
no, don't be doing that. It's trite to say that when we point at somebody, we have three fingers pointing back at us, but we do. And that record stays up there. You're going to say those things. you know, just never forget that people can print that stuff out. You know, it's
Yes,
not going to go away. And it's admissible in court. Remember that too, right?
very
Like,
important.
yeah, be
That's
thoughtful.
why I'm all about keeping it positive on social media. If somebody says something negative, it's a great opportunity to get them on the phone offline, ask them for their phone number and call them. Try not to write anything down. It can be misinterpreted, and if your intention is to turn it around, great. Their intention is to escalate it. You definitely don't want to take the bait for that.
No, you
Avoid
don't. And have compassion for them for a moment. Like just take a deep breath, let it out and let it go by. If they come around again or again, you know, don't jump in.
Yep.
Don't defend. You know, I certainly say something that maybe clarifies your point of view. But then if you notice that they're just wanting to bash, know that there's no way that that's going to go anywhere good.
Hmm. Yeah. It's difficult. It's unfortunate. And it really makes them look bad. The less you say and the more they say, the worse they look. The more you might even get some people coming in for you. If you have to delete it, if you can, if you started it and you can delete it, great. As a general rule, if it's a general complaint and you're willing to turn it around and it's not a troll trying to escalate something, then definitely respond with an offer to help, not the defensiveness. The minute you're defensive, you look bad.
That's
So,
right.
and I love the idea, go get tea. Don't respond when you're triggered. If you're still triggered, get more tea. It's okay
Yeah.
to take another 24 hours. It's okay.
Yeah. It'll still be there if
Keep
it's
breathing, vent as many times as you need to a venting partner. Just to tell somebody I need to vent and get it out or journal it out or
or
whatever
go
you,
and talk to the mirror.
yeah. Yeah, it's really important to do that because you never know what's getting triggered in yourself until you actually it's an opportunity. Like for you, you took it as an opportunity to get curious about your market, about yourself, your own actions. It's a huge opportunity. So if we can look at it as the positive or the silver lining in it, the gold and the silver that might be there for you, that's one of the best ways to handle this kind of situation. And I love your question that I reread in some notes before, for what might this be good? Or what
Yeah,
might this
that's a
be
big one. I was interviewed on a show just the other day, and I was saying to someone that one of the big questions they were asking about how do you change your mindset? And in the blink of an eye, when something happens and you're just about to say something negative and jump in, if you can take a breath and say to yourself, for what might this be good? You can change the entire outcome.
good? Amen, sister.
Yeah.
When we can get our shift, then other things can shift around it
Yeah,
too.
get your shift together.
Get your
Yeah.
shift together. I love it. We got to make a meme about that. That's awesome. All right. Well, it's been a really lively, enriching, and deep time again with our Transform Your Relationship show. I love doing these with
Yes.
you, and you never know what's going to come out. So feel free to comment here, send us a message. Roberta's at forrelationshiphelp.com. You can find me online at transformtoday.com.
Or send us in the comments something you'd like us to comment on. We'd be happy to have it as a topic for another opportunity. So ask your questions, tell us what you'd like, and we'll certainly chat about it. Laura and I'll chat about almost anything because we like doing this for you and for ourselves. So make
You
it a
never know.
great day.
Yeah, and you never know what little insights or inspiration may come. It may go in a different direction than you may have ever thought.
That's
And that's
right.
good.
That's life.
That is life. All right. Have a great life until we're back with you next.
All right. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye for now.